Hey loves, and welcome back to my channel, and if this is your first time here, welcome. I hope you like me enough by the end of this video to stay by subscribing. Let's talk racism and sexual abuse. Okay, so I want to give context before I move into everything else I'm going to talk about today. I come from Zimbabwe, and I come from post-colonial Zimbabwe, and I'm what they term a born free, meaning I was born way after independence. So my interaction with different races in Zimbabwe, which is where I spent about 20 plus years of my life, has been very normal. I don't see color. I don't treat people differently because they come from a different race. I don't even consider that. I have a mixed race nephew. So coming from a sheltered community like that, or sheltered nation like that, where my classmates, my workmates, my colleagues are of different races, it has never been something that I think about consciously. Now, when you move to another country where you are a minority and you still have a lot of people that you talk to from different races that are not racist, and I want to say that I've been in this country for about 5 years. I'm going on 5 years now. I did my master's here, I'm doing my PhD here, and I'm working in school. And throughout those 5 years, I've had subtle incidences of racism here and there, but nothing direct. That was up until last semester. Now, this incident happened whilst I was moving from my office to a different building because I was having a lecture in a different faculty. And the children from the primary school, because in my university they also have a primary school, so the children from the primary school were moving from one place to another, or they were getting a tour of the school, or I'm not sure what was happening, but they were moving around in groups with supervisors, which I assume to be teachers, right? So as I'm walking past a certain group of kids with the teacher, it was maybe like an 8-to-1 ratio where they'll have like a group of 8 kids, a teacher, then a group of 8 kids and another teacher. So I walked past one group, and then a little boy, I want to think he is about 9 or 10 years old. He's very young. He's younger than my nephews, yeah. So he's about 9 or 10. And English is not his first language. So he shouts, "I hate white people," right? And I didn't pay it no mind because I was just thinking, you know. And then he now speaks to one of the other kids, the same age, and then that other kid corrects him, and then he now shouts, "I hate black people," all right? And then I didn't turn back because I knew exactly what he was trying to do. And then he shouts that twice over. And then I turn back, and as I turn back, the teacher turns back because we were moving in opposite directions. And we lock eyes. And then he turns to the front and continues on like nothing happened. Now, the problem with this whole situation is, first of all, this child is 9 or 10. I don't want to think that there has been any interaction with black people to the point where he hates them. It's either he got this from the conversations that I had in his school or in his home or what he looks through on the internet. He's susceptible to getting ideas from a lot of people. He has not developed to the point where he can get an idea of a whole race and say he hates a whole race. So my problem wasn't necessarily with him. My problem was with the teacher that saw these two boys conversing and heard them conversing and heard what they were conversing about. This boy shouted, "I hate black people," 3 times over, and this teacher did nothing. That's where the problem lies. If you are supposed to be guiding children and you allow that sort of behavior and you don't reprimand them when they say something like that, something very racist to someone who is just walking by, you are teaching them that it's okay. You're teaching them that whatever idea that they have on what to say or how to treat people from another race is okay. You're teaching them that there are no consequences to it, and that's where the problem is. I want to also say that I'm not perfect. And like I said, I come from a place where we are all equal. I don't see color. I can't see color. But when something like that happens, you then start thinking about, what could I have done in that situation? Could I have said something? Would that have made that situation any better? Now, the reason why I'm turning to that particular teacher is because even if I converse with that boy, he's probably not going to understand what I'm saying, because I'll be speaking in English and he speaks a different language. And the biggest problem here, and as I move on to sexual abuse, is the same. When you see something happening and you do nothing, you're also part of the problem. So that experience for me was degrading. Those words from such a young boy, for me, were very hurtful. And I can't begin to imagine the things that my grandparents or great-grandparents went through in a time of racial superiority in the colonization time. I can't begin to imagine what people from other countries go through when they're being verbally, physically abused, sometimes and most times to a fatality. All I can say on that is, when something happens in your presence and you have the power to correct it, it's your duty to do so. Unfortunately, we all have had an incidence of sexual abuse, or we know someone who has gone through it. It's a very sad fact that most children have been molested, and because of that trauma, try to forget it, or because they can't speak to their parents about it, they just keep quiet. And I know so many girls and boys that have gone through this. And I need to highlight that sexual abuse goes both ways, because normally when we talk about it or when you see it on the media, it's always a one-way conversation. But I want to speak to the perpetrator and everything that you don't know about the victim. You might be getting 2 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes of pleasure. But this person is going to live with this for their whole life. They are going to be reminded about it every time they watch a movie that has a similar experience. They're going to be reminded about it if the song that was playing when you were forcing yourself on them plays anywhere. They're going to be reminded about it when they get married and they're supposed to have an intimate relationship with their husband. They're going to be reminded about it every time their son or daughter steps out of their house, because they want to protect them so they don't go through the same thing. Is it really worth it? Is it really worth ruining someone's life when you can go and find someone who can consent to whatever it is that you want? And to the victim, the only way you are going to go through this is if you actually go through it. Do not bottle up your experience. Find someone to talk to. Find someone you can trust, that you can talk to. Because unfortunately, not everyone has good intentions for you, and opening up such wounds to people that are going to hurt you again is just going to give you a never-ending cycle. So please make sure that whoever you're opening up to is someone who has good intentions and someone you can trust to help. To the friends, you know your friends, you know your people, you know what they do. And it's not enough to say you are not a rapist personally, when your friend is in the other room and you can hear a girl screaming and you don't walk in and stop it. It's not enough to say I don't force myself on a girl when that stuff is happening under your nose and you don't say anything to your friend. And please, let's stop with the victim blaming. It doesn't matter what she was wearing. It doesn't matter that she was drunk. It doesn't matter that she seemed like she wanted it. The moment she says no, or the moment he says no, you stop. Simple. Now, I always like to put people in positions that they put other people in. Imagine that's your sister coming to you after she's been sexually abused. What's the first question you're going to ask her? Is it going to be, what were you wearing? Or why were you wearing that? Why were you drunk? Why were you high? Why were you in that person's house? No, because they've been violated. And your first reaction is going to want to try and harm that person. Report that person. Make sure that justice prevails for your sister. Everyone is someone's sister. Everyone is someone's mother. Everyone is someone's daughter. Everyone is someone's son, someone's brother, someone's father. And we all need to do better if we're going to change this world. Play your part. Don't keep quiet. Don't throw your hands up and say, well, I can't do something when you can. Let's protect each other and spread love and light. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next Sunday.